Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, proudly brought to you by Lay of the Land. Moadim lesimcha. Yes, we're kosher lePesach, and it's Chol HaMoed. The energy is celebratory in the air here in Israel as we head back to normal. Well, we must be getting back to normal because everybody's complaining about the traffic. And if we haven't met before, I'm Rolene Marks. I bring you the top stories from Israel and surrounds every Monday to Thursday. You can view us on our Facebook page at Lottel's site. While you're there, please give us a like or a follow and share our content. It really helps us when you do. Or subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief by clicking on the big red subscribe button. So let's take a look at those top stories making headlines. And Israel is preparing to say Mabruk to the new incoming ambassador from Bahrain. This is the first ambassador from Bahrain to the state of Israel, and really a historical occasion following the signing of the Abraham Accords. We look forward to welcoming His Excellency Khaled Youssef Al-Jalahmi as he joins us here. His embassy will likely be set up in Tel Aviv, and we hope that within the next couple of weeks a team will be arriving from Bahrain to set up shop here, to establish the embassy, and to work on those important ways that our two countries can build relations and cooperate. And he follows just a couple of weeks after the ambassador from the United Arab Emirates has set up his embassy right here in the Holy Land. Really historical moments. If you had told us a year ago this would be happening, we would never have believed you, but look at it now. And we can't wait to see which countries will be joining the growing circle of peace soon. But on the subject of ambassadors, US President Biden is coming in for some heavy criticism for taking his time in announcing ambassadors to various countries overseas. And we, of course, here are very curious to see who will be tapped to represent the United States at the embassy in Jerusalem. And we have to say a very happy birthday to someone very special. The Iron Dome. Can you believe that the Iron Dome celebrates its 10th anniversary this year? And it's only 10 years since it intercepted its first incoming rockets from the Gaza Strip. The Iron Dome, which many saw at the time to be quite an expensive investment, has been absolutely instrumental in saving the lives of Israeli civilians and really came into its own during Operations Pillar of Fire, as well as Operation Protective Edge, rather, in 2014. We are all familiar with the rockets and the mortars that have been fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel, putting hundreds of thousands of civilians under extreme pressure and extreme risk. And these rocket attacks haven't abated. We had one just a couple of weeks ago, thank goodness, for that Iron Dome. And these batteries have become familiar scenes dotted around the south of Israel and sometimes in the north as well as tensions rise. And even in my town here of Modi'in, we've welcomed this extraordinary invention. Very basic looking. It looks like a giant orange crate that shoots off its intercepting missiles to prevent projectiles coming in and possibly killing many Israelis and destroying property. Now, how it works is that when the sirens are aware of incoming rockets, it shoots off its warning signal, which allows people to take cover wherever they are in the country, bearing in mind that in the south they say they have 15 seconds to run for shelter. When you are there, you'll understand it's more like a couple of seconds to run for shelter, and then shoots off its intercepting rockets, which make sure that whatever projectile is incoming is destroyed. Now, over the years, people have said that these rockets that are being fired from the Gaza Strip are very basic, likening them to fireworks. They're not. They're becoming more and more sophisticated as more and more come in from Iran and can reach further and further into the country. So all we have to do is say that this a week 10 years ago, the Iron Dome intercepted its first rockets, and nobody could be more grateful than all of us here in Israel. Hey, in 2014, during Operation Protective Edge, the Iron Dome even received marriage proposals. I kid you not. So thank you, Iron Dome, for helping to protect and save the lives of Israeli citizens all across this country. And thank you to the United States for helping to make this possible. And our final story goes back to the elections, and the Central Election Committee today handed over the official results to President Rivlin. And the president has said that he will tap the candidate who has the better odds of forming a government, not necessarily the candidate with the most support of MKs or Chave Knesset. Now, Yair Lapid, who's the chairman of the Yesh Atid party, is rumored to have said that he is happy to sit in a rotational premiership with Naftali Bennett, the leader of the Yamina party. However, he has said that it should be rather him than Naftali Bennett who forms a government. And the president reiterated, whoever forms the government, please make sure that you do so, because we have to pass very, very important budgets, especially now as Israel starts to recover from the global pandemic. So those are your top stories making headlines today. And don't forget that you can check us out online at www.layoftheland.online. You can read Dave Kaplan's article all about a park in Istanbul, Turkey that has been named after a Nazi sympathizer. Also, don't forget that Facebook page at Lottel's site, that YouTube channel at the Israel Brief. And while you're at it, join us on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. So with today's edition of the Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Mark saying enjoy the rest of your day. I know many of you are taking advantage of Chol HaMoed to see the sights and see your families and just have a little bit of a break. And we'll catch up with you tomorrow.